Hey guys, Tacoma Cyclist here, and the Boogeyman. Today we're doing an on-bike review, and actually, I'm on the bike, and we're going to do a review. So it's an on-bike review. Today we're actually reviewing the Dragon Bicycles Bahamut. This is a local brand, us. This is done by a company based out of Seattle, and it's designed for a couple very specific purposes, and we'll get into some of those purposes here in a little bit. But essentially what we're looking at here is a low-cost carbon fiber bicycle that's designed to be purchased by entry-level consumers that want to find a good bike, maybe for their first bike, or maybe as a good commuter bike, not spend a lot of money, but also get a bike that is well fit for them. So we'll talk a little bit about the qualities of the bike, what makes it a good bike, what you'd want to improve on it, maybe some of the characteristics. I'll compare it to our three known quantities. That's my Bianchi, my S-Works, and my Ridley. So comparing an entry-level bike to those three should be totally fair and perfectly reasonable, but I'm going to do it anyway. So let's go check it out. So we chose an absolute stunner of a day to come out here and test this bike. And actually I've been testing this bike now for a couple months on and off, and but I was hoping to get some last shots with it today after I've really been able to formulate my opinions. And I thought, man, what a great day, because yesterday it was 78 degrees, it was sunny, it was beautiful, we did a time trial outdoors, it was amazing, and today we have this. Thanks a lot, Washington. Appreciate that. Now, one of the great things about this bike, and we'll talk a little bit about the gearing here in a minute, but one of the great things about this bike, again, it's designed to be somewhat of a beginner entry-level bike in a lot of ways, in a lot of respects. Part of that is the gearing. Now, this is a 1x setup, and we'll talk a little bit about the setup in a minute. I'm not here to debate the merits, the qualities of a 1x versus a 2x versus a triple. Not even going to talk about that. What I am going to talk about is the actual gearing on this bike. And the Boogeyman just noted as we were heading up one of the hills right outside of our house is I'm able to spin up the hill at 90 RPM. He's in his lowest gear doing 50 RPM, and I'm just looking like I'm having an easy time. Now, I'm going to pan over here. That may not look like that much, but each one of those little bumps is about 16 to 18% gradient. And we go that route every single ride. If we want to leave our house, we're going up a 16 to 18% climb every single time. And we were just talking about what gearing we normally do that in. And the Boogeyman and I have 52-36 and 11 to 28 on the back. He's got a 14 to 28 because he's junior's restricted gearing, but 28, 52, or 36, 28 is going to be the easiest gear combo we've got. We normally do that. I'm going to move out of the way because there's some cars coming. We normally do that in our 36-25 or 36-28, depending upon if we're being lazy or not. And it's just fine. It's easy. But what I'm about to do here is spin up that because of the gearing combination that we have on this bike. So one of the great things about this particular bike is that the gearing combination comes with, if you're a beginner and you don't like climbing hills, this is going to be one of the easier climbing bikes you're going to encounter out there. So this bike is an all carbon fiber bike, as you can tell just by looking at it, and the all-important flick test that has the old-fashioned plastic sound. In this configuration, which is the stock configuration from Dragon, it's got SRAM Apex 1x, which is actually pretty nice. This is a 44 tooth, and it's an 11. I don't recall what the top is, but I'll put the information in the base below, or I'll discuss it later on in the video. We're not going to really be talking too much about the rim brake aspect of things. We're not going to be talking about the 1x. This is not a review of either of those systems. I have no problem that it's rim brakes. Actually, the brakes work great on this, and I have no problem with 1x. It is what it is, and frankly, I'm rolling it in Tacoma, so if I can roll it here in Tacoma with the 18% hills and 20% hills that we got, then you can pretty much run it anywhere you want. I will tell you, you will find some limitations with it, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Again, all carbon fiber, internally routed cables. You do have cable stops here, so if you want to run different types, including electronic group sets, you're welcome to. There are frame mounts for a front mech if you want to change this over to a front. If you want to change this over to a 2x, you can do that as well. WTB Volt saddle, and in this configuration it's the 135 width. The bars, stem, and all the other minor components are very basic. And in fact, if you wanted to lose some weight from this bike, that's a great opportunity to do so, is with those pieces of equipment. Pretty much just solid aluminum, unbranded. Great opportunity to change things up there. Not spend a whole lot of money and actually get a pretty good spec. The wheels are the Vision Team 25s. I actually like these wheels. There's a lot of spokes on them. Sure, it's got a high spoke count, but let's face it, for entry-level carbon bike, putting some wheels with some high spoke count, it's not a bad idea. And frankly, I've got nothing against Vision wheels. I think they're great wheels. So compared to a lot of other entry-level bike spec wheels, I think they're actually really good. They spin up fast. Yeah, they're kind of pigs on climbs, but they are pretty solid wheels. The tires that are spec'd with this are the Maxxis Dolomites, and for a good overall tire, great. This is going to give you great protection against flats. Not exactly the lightest or the lowest rolling resistance, but that's not what we're after with this bike. Great opportunity, great platform to build on top of, but what we've got here is a pretty good entry-level carbon fiber bike. Now the pedals on this, in this case, are actually the Shimano's SPD SLs. They're entry level. Those are mine. Those are not what comes spec with the bike. The bike does come with flat pedals. You can take those off really easily, but I think this is relatively representative of what most people are going to go for their first pedal. So that's what I put on here. I didn't put any Dura Ace pedals or anything crazy like that on, just the entry level pedals. But what comes with them out of the box is just standard flat pedals. Be prepared to take those off and put on whatever you want. Okay, on our trusty scales, this bike weighs in. Let me get the boogeyman to help me stabilize if I need to. Takes a second. This really sucks when you're trying to weigh 50-pound luggage. I don't think it's locked in. There we go. Okay. On our trusty scales, this bike weighs in at 8.9 kilograms, which in American money, 19.66 pounds. Definitely not a lightweight bike out of the box, but that's not necessarily a problem. So I'm going to take an example here. Boogeyman's going to hold that. I'm going to take this front wheel off. I do like these wheels. For stock wheels, I don't think you're going to find much better. But let's compare this. This is just the front wheel. You got that zeroed out? Not quite. Alright, let me put that back in kilograms. Just the stock wheel with the stock tire. Actually not bad, 13.35 kilograms. Now, sorry, 1335 grams. That would be a little heavy. Now, yeah, this is taking things to the extreme here. This is not my lightest front wheel. It's a good middle of the road front wheel as far as weight is concerned. 1035. That's 300 grams savings on just the front wheel. Just the front wheel alone. If we were even talking about maybe a more common front wheel, hold that thought. Now this head Ardennes wheel is definitely, again, not considered to be a light wheel. And the most important part here, this has a wire bead in it. The tire on this has a wire bead. This wheel right now is coming in 200 grams lighter than that wheel, and it's equipped with a very heavy winter training tire. So if you wanted to shave off more than a pound, maybe even 1.5 pounds off this bike real fast, call those Vision wheels, your training wheels, your winter wheels, whatever, and get yourself a nice set of wheels. You may already have some laying around the house, you may already have some that are available to you, but even a wheel that's not designed to be light comes in significantly lighter than the stock wheels. Again, nothing wrong with stock wheels. I think they're great. I think it's better than getting some, no-name POS, but they're definitely not designed to be light. They're definitely not designed to be race wheels. They're designed to be everyday riding wheels, and they do that great. So what am I trying to show you here?
How bumpy the roads are.
Yeah. This is some of the nicest pavement in Tacoma. let's just say Tacoma's not known for smooth, clean pavement. I once watched a contractor accidentally dump an entire load of concrete on the street in Tacoma on accident. And the first thought I had was, yeah, we're finally getting some new roads in Tacoma. They're just gonna smooth that shit out and we're gonna have a new road. Nope, they cleaned it up. Put that pothole riddled piece of crap back in place. I may be a little bit spoiled with my Bianchi in how it handles broken roads. The countervail technology in that is phenomenal. I feel like this bike has the ability to be plush. It has the ability to be smooth. What comes with it straight out of the box is okay, but you can see it's just aluminum, heavy duty, no name brand stuff. Totally fine, right? This is a stock bike, entry level. It's designed to be that way. But you could do more. And actually, that's what the builder of these bikes had in mind. And he told me that. I had a chat with him. You know, he mentioned that ideally, he figures people are going to upgrade these bikes. They're going to buy them stock. They're going to see what they like about it. They're going to see what they don't like about it. And then swap out the parts. And that's cool, right? I will tell you, you buy the bike stock. I think the finishing kit is perfectly fine for a stock entry-level bike. Upgrade the bars and stem and the seat post. Yeah, pretty quickly. Not only will you shave off quite a bit of weight by doing that, I think you're going to like the results. I think this bike has a lot of potential, a lot of really good potential. Okay, so what are my takes on this bike? Overall, I'm pretty stoked about this bike. Actually, it's a pretty slick bike, and for the price, it's actually, you can't complain. Component choices are good, and you can take it from good to great. You can take the weight and probably drop it a good 3 pounds easily by putting on better wheels and by putting on better cockpit. So better stem, lighter handlebars. Man, there's a lot of cars out today. It's unusual for this stretch of road. So pardon the noise there, but yeah, you put better stem, better bars, better saddle, better seat post, and better wheels. And I know that sounds like it's a lot, but the reality is if you're new to cycling, you're probably gonna get those things anyway over time, right? If this is your first bike or maybe your second bike, when you buy a bike, the stuff that it comes with, especially on this price point, is not gonna be the stuff you end up with in the end. So getting a bike that's a little bit less expensive and maybe has some entry-level parts like that, not the end of the world. You're just going to replace them anyway. So get it cheap. Who's this bike designed for? Well, it's designed for beginning cyclists that want to have maybe something a little bit better than an entry-level aluminum bike. It's not going to compare to something like, you know, the CAD 12, which is a true race aluminum bike. This is, you know, in a different league, but you also pay a bit more for it. You also have to know what you get when you buy a bike like that. That's not for comfort. This one's going to be a little bit more comfortable over the long term. So it's good for a beginner. It's good for somebody like me who maybe wants a second bike for commuting. I could totally see myself using this bike for commuting. This is actually a very comfortable bike. It would actually be a bike you could spend all day on with no hesitation. You could do that as is. You could ride a Century on this and have no problems. Can you race on it? Well, it's funny. I had mentioned to David, the guy that runs the company, that I was probably going to take it out and race it on one of our Pacific Raceways events. And he kind of gave me a weird look. It's totally raceable. In the configuration it's in right now, I wouldn't race it. And that's the only reason I wouldn't race it is because of the cassette on the back. But you can swap that out. And I say that, the boogeyman was just laughing at me. We were descending a pretty decent hill. And the gearing that I have on this had me pretty darn spun out. I was spinning 140 RPM cadence, and I was only going 30 to 35 miles an hour. I don't have my speedometer on here right now. So I was spun out pretty fast. In a race, that's just not gonna work. Even in a flat race, your sprint's gonna be faster than that. It's not gonna work. But if you put a different cassette on here, I think you would find that that's not the case. I think it would work absolutely beautifully. Why? Well, it's springy. It comes to life. It is very confidence inspiring. I've not had a single problem on this where I've railed a corner or cut a sharp turn. I didn't feel any instability there. Yet at the same time, it's one of those bikes where you can almost instantly just sit up and ride no hands. I suck at that, but it could be done, and the bike is stable enough that it stays up. So it's got that delicate balance of stability, but agility at the same time. Totally raceable. So if you're looking for a crit machine, this is actually probably a good choice. Downsides. The downsides are few and far between on this bike. Like I said, cockpit is This is an entry-level group set. Seriously, I have no idea where all these cars are coming from or where they're headed to. There's a park behind me. This is just a park. It's not like it's there's nothing back there. It's an entry-level group set, but it's a full group set. So there's no cheaper crank set on here or cheaper brakes. It's full SRAM Apex, but it's just SRAM Apex. So if you want a better 1x setup or even a 2x, this does accommodate it. Invest a little bit more. I just had to get off that street. There were so many cars there. So now I'm just gonna climb this brutal hill instead. So, what's the advantage of buying a bike that's fully assembled? Well, if you've never bought a bike before, maybe you don't have a bike shop close by, you can pull this out of the box and you can have a bike. And it works. You just got to put the wheels on. That's about it. What's the downside to it? Okay, now we got a big dog coming for us. I will tell you straight out of the box, it's a good bike. It'll suit almost everyone who needs a bike in this price range. And it'll suit people that need a bike outside of this price range. So don't be afraid of that. Me, I kind of enjoy it. I would make this my commuter bike any day of the week. I'd make this my winter training bike happily. It's a fun bike with minor tweaks, minor updates. I could totally live with it. I would even make it a crit bike, but I would put a 2x on it, SRAM Force, maybe some SRAM Force E-Tap, and rock a pretty amazing crit bike for not much money. So, who's it for? Well, if you're looking for a bike, it could be for you. Take a look at it, see what you think. More Tacoma roads. It only gets worse. The struggle is real. Hashtag Tacoma Roubaix.